Alberta's capital city has just forced everyone to wear masks in all public places, or so they would have you believe, and act accordingly. Today we'll take a look at the new law in Edmonton in a little more detail than the mayor and council would like you to. Alberta's capital city, Edmonton, has just mandated masks in all publicly accessible places until the end of the year. Now here's the new law straight from the City of Edmonton website in case you haven't seen it yet. A person must wear a face covering at all times while in an indoor, enclosed, or substantially enclosed public place or public vehicle. That means on any property, whether publicly or privately owned, to which members of the public have access as of right or by expressed or implied invitation, whether on payment of any fee or not, including a bus or light rail vehicle operated by Edmonton Transit Service, or a vehicle for hire, so that includes a taxi or an Uber. Okay, back in reality, as of August 2nd, 2020, the day I sat down to read the new bylaw, 26 people were in the hospital in the Edmonton area with the Wuhan cough. 6 were in ICU, fewer than 1 ICU admission per hospital in a municipal region of greater than 1 million people. Yet, if you don't wear a mask, you could face a $100 fine thanks to a 10-3 vote by the Edmonton City Council and their NDP Mayor, Don Iveson. You see, the coronavirus is a statistical rounding error of a statistical rounding error in the Edmonton area. The pandemic is over. And yet now, at the end of, week 20-something of just 2 weeks to flatten the curve, they continue to flatten freedom and any sense of normalcy for the citizens of Edmonton instead. But, like most of these mask laws, the new mask law in Edmonton doesn't do much except acting to placate the power mad with a fix of control. It tosses a bone to the mask mobsters out there, and it virtue signals about how concerned our local governments are about our health. But the most sinister part of the new mask laws is that they aren't really real, and politicians hope you don't realize it and just do as you're told without looking into it for yourself because you're either scared of the bug or the $100 fine. It's public health masterpiece theater. You see, Toronto was sort of first on board in Canada for these mandated masks. They mandated masks in all indoor places, but the exemptions, once you drill down, are really something else. So Torontonians, if you think you might be exempt, if you're like me and you have a congenital birth defect of freedom coursing through your veins, and that means you can't wear a mask, please go and order a mask exemption card from us at maskexemption.ca. And if you'd like to help us cover the cost of printing the cards and before that lawyering them to death, to make sure that we did everything right, you can do that too at that special website, maskexemption.ca. Now, getting back to Edmonton. Edmonton's lazy city council, pretty near cut and pasted Toronto's useless mask law. Just look at Edmonton's exemptions for bylaw 19408. That's the official name for the new temporary mandatory face mask bylaw that takes us right into 2021. So you have to wear a mask basically everywhere you may grace the presence of another human adult, except for when you're eating, or if you tell someone that you're physically or mentally unable to. And even then, you aren't required to provide proof of the reason you're physically or mentally unable to wear a mask. No one's allowed to ask you for proof. And weirdly enough, you don't actually have to wear masks in hospitals where sick people actually are. Seems legit. Oh, but don't you worry, Edmontonians and people who are unfortunate enough to live in cities just like Edmonton, cities and municipalities who are bringing in these virtue signaling mask mandate laws at the end of a pandemic, because we just don't have mask exemption cards for the city of Toronto. We have a generic one for you too. Just go to maskexemption.ca to get yours today. If you're one of those people who lives in the burbs, in the bedroom communities outside of the big cities, for the explicit purposes of not being within the clutches of a power-hungry, tax-gobbling progressive mayor with designs on out-virtue signaling the next big city mayor for an attaboy from Justin Trudeau, well, friends, you're not safe either, because these laws are coming for you too. Strathcona County, just outside of Edmonton city limits, Population 100,000. Just made masks mandatory in all county-owned and operated facilities, including buses. And there was no vote on it. They just did it. No one got a chance to make the case against it. Look at this from the Sherwood Park News. Strathcona County has mandated the social norm, that's an interesting word, of wearing face masks while entering all county-owned buildings and during the use of transit starting August 4th. The decision was made to mandate the use of non-medical masks to ensure safety and confidence for transit customers and county facility users, according to the municipality. And of course, to make sure that everyone in the entire region is forced to live by the rules brought in by a mayor in a city they don't live in and a council they didn't vote for and now cannot hold to account, the regional mayors are working together to make Iveson's Edmonton rules uniform all across the land. Look at this from that very same article. A bylaw to require the mandatory use of non-medical masks in all public indoor spaces, retail and businesses, and public vehicles for hire, taxis and rideshares is being drafted by administration and is expected to be debated by council during a special meeting on Thursday, August 6th. Friends, Conservatives worry a lot about federal and provincial politics, as we should. But we better start worrying more about local governments. The government that is closest to you is the one that affects you first and affects you the most. And this virus and the laws being forced on us are coming from the localist of local government. Don't forget that when local elections come around again. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn-Reid. Toronto was the first major city in Canada to bring in mandatory mask wearing in all places where the public might be, but other cities have quickly followed suit. But here at Rebel News, well, we're here to help. Go to maskexemption.ca because you might be exempt. And there you can get your mask exemption card. There's one for Toronto, and then there's another card for everywhere else. And if you'd like to pitch in to cover our legal costs to make sure that our mask exemption cards are above board, you can do that too at maskexemption.ca.